Hello, in this video series we're going to go over Zbrush. So whenever you first open Zbrush, you'll see this little ad thing that goes over different things that's going on with the company, different workshops, etc. We can just close out of that. The next thing you'll see is this library of tools and textures and brushes. This is called the Lightbox, and one of the most important things to know about this is where you can see your quick saves. So it's kind of like auto saves also. So if you have any crashes or anything like that, just look through here and check to see if it's auto saved in here. To click out of it, you can click that. This home page is that ad thing that pops up. Yeah, so the first thing I do when I open up Zbrush is I go up to Document, and I want to get rid of this gray border that is on my viewport. And to do that, we just go up to New Document, make sure this W sizes, this is the auto fit window size, and click on New Document. And now we can just start playing around like this. So you might notice that this isn't 3D actually. This is a 2.5D object where this is not something you can actually pan around. You can even add different pieces of stuff in here like cones and spheres, and you can make some weird stuff with this. And you can do things with this, but for this series I'll mainly be using the 3D sculpting mode. And I want to go up here and do a sphere. A hotkey that you'll want to remember is Control N. So Control N. So Control N. So that will clear out any 2.5D sculpts. So now I can click that sphere to 3D. I'm gonna click into this and pull directly down. And then I'm going to also hold down Shift. See, if I have it at angled and I hold down Shift, it pops it so it's direct, perfectly up and down. That's what we want. We want it to be perfectly up and down. And then once we've done that, we go up to Edit. And now we can pan around this. And you'll see up here there's a little helper that tells you what direction we're looking at. So if the guy's looking at you, that's the front. You can move around by just using your tablet pen to on the outside of the viewport, or on not on the object but on the outside of your object, pan around it like that. If you hold down Shift while doing that, it will snap to the front side and back, or top even. So it kind of gives you a more kind of like an orthographic snapping with perspective. So that's good. And the next thing is to make this sculptable, because if we sculpt over this, you'll get this error. So I'll click out of that, and what it's saying is it needs to be a polymesh 3D. So we have this, now we just need to make it a polymesh 3D, and there we go. So now I should be able to sculpt. Before I do any real sculpting, I want to have this be mirrored. So I'm going to hit X, do that, because I want to do half the work. I don't want to do it the same thing exactly the same way on both sides. Usually most things have symmetry, and then you add asymmetry, a little bit asymmetry after you've done the symmetry part. So the next part is I would look at my material. Usually I would pick something, a material that I can see my sculpting well. So anything that's too bright, like, I don't know, like, let's see, skin shade. This is too bright where it's hard to see exactly what's happening, especially up here. So I prefer something that is kind of gray, not as intense. So maybe silver might be okay. Everyone has their favorites, so just look through there and see what kind of feels right for yourself. So that's too bright for me. If you're in a older ZBrush, they used to have a pearl material. That was my go-to, and then they must have gotten rid of it, so unfortunately it doesn't look like they have it anymore. These ones look interesting to me, the matte cap green, but it goes a little too dark on my taste on the bottom, but that's fine for now. So I have this, it's mirroring, and it's mirroring exactly from left to right. Be very sure that this is good. And then if it goes right to the center, it snaps together like that. Yeah, it is, get that right before you move on. So now, the brushes I use most, and you can get to brushes up here, and this can be a bit overwhelming with all these different brushes. The brushes I use most are the clay tubes. So you can click on that and you can sculpt like this. And it should be pressure sensitive if you have a good tablet. And then there's also, I use clay tubes, and then I use a move brush. And I use any of the move brushes is fine. To find things easier, you can, if it's a move brush, you can press M. And then you can see here there's a bunch of brushes that start with M. So I like move topological. So MT. See, there's a little letter on the top right or top left. So I can do MT. Oop. Do not switch. Oops, I accidentally did something wrong there. Click on that MT, and that is a hotkey to get there quickly. So what I will want you guys to do is just try to get a general shape down of a head of a creature that you're going to make, and then so I'll just do something like this. Do like a general head. You can do a character, you can do a creature. I just want you guys to get used to making stuff and getting used to this tool. If you want to, I would look at reference for the Loomis head, or find a specific character that you're going to recreate. That's a good idea too. Or feel free just to play with the tool. But try to make a creature of some kind. So something like this. So now I have character. Usually there's some tapering, something like this. There we go. And then to sculpt, you just hold down Shift. Hopefully I didn't skip the movement. So movement is control on the background, or clicking on the background and moving around on your tablet. Alt will pan it. Alt and clicking and moving your mouse or moving your pen. So the hardest thing is the zoom. It's the weirdest thing. So Alt, you have to hold down Alt and then left click, and then let go of Alt while still holding down the left click, and then moving left and right or up and down will do it. So it's a bit tricky. You can hit F if you to focus on something on your object, and yeah, there we go. So yeah, so start sculpting. Usually when I'm doing a character, I'll get the general head shape down like this, and then I'll use clay tubes. And if you I accidentally got out of my draw brush, you can click on this. So these are the moves. This is draw. I wouldn't mess with this move, rotate, scale for the head part. We'll get into that when we put in eyes and all that kind of stuff. And then up here are the size of your brushes. You can get a hotkey for that is S. I use that quite a bit, S, and then move left and right. And then focal shift and intensity I'll use once in a while when I need it, but usually I'm moving around like this and then doing stuff like that. Yeah, so start sculpting, try to get the general shape down. It's gonna feel rough at first, so be okay with that. And then for the next part, I'll show you how to subdivide it and add more detail. All right.